she's not even my biological aunt. She married into the family. They got divorced, whatever. She works for City Hall, and with City Hall, she works on making sure places like my high school, inner city schools, they're able to be given equal opportunity. And she, when I was 13, had just been bat mitzvahed. She asked me if I wanted to help her, and I said, yeah, like, of course. And I was a Girl Scout for years, and so I worked with other troops that were very diverse. So I never saw it as like a me versus you. I always saw it as a us together kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like my aunt and my mom, they definitely taught me that you can't, like, obviously you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't go up to someone and know everything about them if you haven't even said hello. And I feel like they were the really big forerunners that since as early as I can remember, like, instilled that in me. And working with my aunt in City Hall, and, you know, we made a curriculum together for the elementary schools in my school system, and how to, you know, introduce religions such as Islam and Judaism and Buddhism, all that, just so that way kids could learn, even if they weren't interested in the subject that didn't apply to them, they were still being exposed to it to, you know, derail any ignorance that could come down the line. But I feel like that obviously played a part. And also, you know, like, it's obviously not to the same extent, but, like, I'm not in a majority religion. Like, I'm Jewish. And so I feel like early on in Judaism, we're always taught, like, the only people who can get, not excommunicated, because we don't do that, but it's like derailed or like thrown out of Judaism are the people who have morally unjust views. So people who, pedophiles, you know, people who are inappropriate with animals or kill someone or that kind of thing. Like, so many Jews love gay people. That's just a thing. Like, my rabbi was gay. That was never a question for me. And we have Jews from everywhere, all over the world. And so it, like, really early on, it got taught, you know, treat other people how you would want people to treat you. And, like, golden rule. Everyone knows the golden rule. So, but, like, with Judaism, that just got put a little bit more forward as that is your priority. Yeah. That is, like, you cannot be a Jew unless you do that. And, like, I'm 100% Jewish. No one in my bloodline is not Jewish. Yeah. Which is also very rare. But I feel like that also taught me a lot. Just because Judaism is very peaceful. And we don't tell anybody they can't come in unless they're sure they want to. And I feel like that really instilled that in me.
Okay. Talk me through kind of your how religion played a role in your life. Like, you're on a week to week sort of thing. Like, yeah. Is it a Sunday prayer thing? Is it a pray before dinner thing? Like, how does that sort of?
Well, and the name of the kind of Jew I am, it can be kind of like questionable because the word itself is very like argued about. I'm a conservative Jew, and to be there's Reformed, Conservative, Orthodox, Semi-Orthodox.
Is there a Democratic or?
No, that's not a thing. Okay. That's why I said, like, it comes to a little bit of an argument point, because when I tell people that, they get kind of confused and think I'm a conservative politically, but that they have no correlation.
Right. Okay.
So, as a conservative Jew, I don't follow the kosher laws. Like, I can eat meat and cheese together if I so want to. I don't have to go to temple every Friday or Saturday morning. I don't have to observe Shabbat and, you know, not use the lights and not work. It's just conservative Jews. It's like, for me at least, I grew up going to a Jewish private school. Like, Hebrew became my second language. Like, I used to speak it almost fluently, and up until 5th grade, 4th grade, when I went to a regular public school, because English is left to right, Hebrew's right to left. So.
Okay, that's weird.
It is, but also, like, I think it's kind of, fascinating.
Yeah.
Because, like, up until 7th grade, I was stapling on the wrong side of the page, but that's a whole other story. Just because of how it's written, all that. But I feel like my family, we like to observe Shabbat, and, we would go to my grandparents every Friday night. We would light candles, we would say prayers, obviously we would drink our grape juice, the adults would drink their fun stuff, like the wine, and we would just have Shabbat dinner. Yeah. If we wanted to go to temple the next morning, we had the choice. We were never forced into it. But we also had Sunday school on Sundays, and it was just 9 to noon. And so, like, I went to Sunday school, and because I was gonna have my bat mitzvah by the time I was 12 or 13, and I chose to have it early at 12, which most people do 13 just because it's easier. But I had my bat mitzvah early, like literally 2 weeks after I turned 12, because I had been reading from the Torah since I was 10, maybe even 9, and I got taught Hebrew, I got taught the ways of the Torah, I got taught the ways of Judaism, which is like basically like peace, remembrance, life, like livelihood, and respect. And like those are not the official 4 pillars of Judaism, but they're very important pillars. Because we don't have a certain number, it's just like, a summarized version of it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I feel like my parents instilled to me very, very young that being Jewish isn't bad, it's different. And they were completely right. Like, being Jewish is awesome. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
I want to have Jewish kids. Like, I want to be Jewish the rest of my life.
Okay.
Because, I mean, when you hear my name, like, my name is Ida Rutkoff. Like, I don't really have, like, a WASP name. Like, I'm not a Johnson or, like a Roberts. Like, I'm a Rutkoff. And I feel like with being Jewish, the history that, came before me is very fascinating. And I feel like it further, because Jews are very big on tradition. We're so big on it. It's like one of our main things, like our religious ceremonies and, like going to Shabbat, the prayers that we say, none of it has changed since Judaism was first invented.
Yeah.
Nothing. Everything is exactly the same. We read the same script every year. Nothing has changed. Because it really, like, it hasn't needed to. Because I say we very loosely, because there's so many Jews in the world, but
right.
Jewish people have just been very big on tradition and community. So growing up, the people who raised me weren't just my mom and dad and my grandparents or whatever. It was the people of the Jewish community teaching me new things every day. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for my Jewish community, I wouldn't have been here. 2 of the people in the Jewish community who were ELon, they told me, hey, check the school out. And I did, and now I'm here. And it's just, it's very, like, bizarre. Because when I hear about Christianity, obviously it's a very cool religion in its own regard. It's just very different. And I feel like being Jewish means a lot to me. It really does. And
yeah.
I do feel like it sucks sometimes because it's hard to convey it because, let's face it, religion is a touchy subject for a lot of people. But I feel like having, this outlook that I've been taught and my mother was taught and my grandmother and all the people before me, it's very cool to me that, like, my religion is so ancient and it's been so untouched.
Yeah.
But I love it. Like, I think it's so historical.
I have like 100 questions, and I want to say them all before I forget them, but that's impossible. This isn't a question, but more of a statement. I think it's really interesting that Jewish people have bar mitzvahs, and like Latinos have quinceañeras.
Yeah.
Like, what do Christians have? Do we have like a coming of age? Communion, I guess. Yeah. I forgot about communion.
Maybe communion, or what's the thing?
Well, you get baptized.
Yeah.
But that happens. That happens right. Well, kind of when you're born, I guess.
It's not communion. It's
Yeah, I'm not Christian enough to know. It's kind of sad.
I'm not Christian enough to know.
My grandparents would be pissed about this.
Oh, confirmation.
Confirmation. Okay.
Jews have their own version of confirmation, but also, like, I think is it baptism? Or Catholicism and Judaism are pretty close. I don't know. But one of them is, and it's kind of cool. But I think the Jews got confirmation for Christians.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I think it's just really, like, Jews have bar mitzvahs, very simply put, because in the Torah it says that when a child becomes 12 or 13, they are able to be recognized as an adult for a minyan. And a minyan, it's M-I-N-Y-A-N. It's basically a service that's held on weekdays, and it's especially held if someone dies in the community before the funeral. You need 12 people for a minyan, or 10 to 12.
Okay. And
it basically it prays for their safe departure into heaven. So when you're 12 or 13, you practice ceremonies so that way you can participate in that, or be counted as a member in that.
Yeah. So Jewish people believe in heaven too.
Oh, absolutely. But we don't believe in hell.
So you can be saved, but not tortured? How does that work?
Right. So there's this book called the Tanakh and the Talmud.
Okay.
They're two different books.
All right.
One of them, I don't remember which one.
Don't get too crazy on me now.
No, I won't. One of them you have to wait until you're 21 to read. So I get to read it, but I forgot which one it is, so I haven't opened it up. Oops. But basically, how we view death is we view death as a celebration of the life that they lived more than the loss of somebody we loved. And so funerals, it's often how it goes is someone dies. We have this group of people. My mom is one of them. She's done it since she was, I want to say 19, where she'll go in and she'll just dress the bodies. She'll, make them look nice. Because we don't do open coffin funerals.
Okay.
We have them closed, but that way if, like this happened to my grandmother. She died of Alzheimer's when she died. My mom wasn't on that board of people to go do this because it was her mother, but a group of Jewish women, and only women, will go in and they'll just make sure she doesn't look dead when she goes, because you want the body, like you want to celebrate who was once alive.
Okay.
So they'll, if a dead body is pale or loss of blood discolors them, they'll make sure that they look more lively. Or they'll put on, like I know when my grandmother died, she had her wedding ring on. They don't get that back because they want her to be buried with something of value of her life. And that value of her life is her marriage.
Yeah.
So after her funeral and after we buried her, it was a celebration of life. And everybody who knew her or whoever had died comes in and they talk about her. Not in a circle, just a group of people sit. Typically, like, they'll drink or like they'll eat or whatever, and they'll just all talk. And there's no tears. I've never once seen tears, even from the smallest of children. Have I ever seen tears during this? They're not told not to cry; they just choose not to, because they're celebrating the life that was lived. Like people will tell stories about who had just died, and it's almost like it's kind of jarring or it's eerie too, like getting to know someone after they're gone. And that's kind of the whole point. Is like when someone dies and they're just gone, like their stories are the things that carry them into life. And so that's kind of how it goes. And then when it comes to heaven or hell, we don't believe in a hell. We believe in their body is free and they go to heaven. So we have something called a Reiki. I think Christians have Reiki. Maybe not.
I'm Christian, but I've done very little to study the book of the Bible.
Okay. So Reiki is basically somebody will come in and they'll see a dead body and they'll help their soul escape the body so they aren't buried. So the soul can live on. And we have a Reiki. We have a family Reiki. Most families in Judaism do, but a lot of them don't. It's just very like, if you want, you can have it, but if you don't want it, do your thing.
Yeah.
But our family Reiki came in, did that with my grandmother. And how it goes is when the family Reiki is reaching a certain age of like elderly, they choose someone to be the Reiki. No one is ever supposed to say, I want to be the Reiki. And she asked me if one day I wanted to learn it. I said, yeah, duh, I want to learn this. No. And so when a body dies, they help extract the soul so the soul can live on. And then the body goes to heaven. It's really cool. Like, do I have proof of if it's true or not? Or if it's real? I don't know. But I think it's really awesome. Like, I think it's just a very positive and peaceful way to look at that. And like heaven and that kind of thing.
So what's your best memory from with your grandma?
Oh, before she had Alzheimer's, she picked me up from school and we went down this winding hill. She had a really beautiful convertible. I'm talking like 1994 convertible tortoise.
Do you remember what brand it was?
I want to say Chrysler.
Okay.
Or Buick.
Okay.
Something like that. And maybe it was Chevrolet. I'm going to say Chevrolet. And we were going down this windy road top down and she went like this and was driving with her knees. We went down the whole way.
Yeah.
It was dope.
That's awesome.
It was so fun. She was cool. She was a ballerina. She was a diver, skier, horseback rider. She was everything.
That's awesome. Yeah. She sounds like she did a lot of cool stuff.
She was cool as hell. She was a ballerina and she did a lot of modeling campaigns. She was a big fashionista. Like thank God, awesome. Her granddaughter got so much awesome relics. Like so many awesome relics from her life when she was a lot healthier and more sound and able.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Was it hard to see her mentally decline?
Yeah, but also it was really hard because it was watching my mom's mom. Like when you think of your mom when you're a little girl or a little boy, it's like that's your mommy. And seeing your mommy's mommy go, that's so hard. And
right.
Especially seeing my mom have to handle that because she was experiencing ambiguous loss. You know what that is?
No.
Okay, ambiguous loss is mourning someone who's alive. So when she had first been diagnosed, that began. She was mourning, what she was going to lose. But I'll never forget that when she did eventually pass, my mom said this is the biggest blessing she doesn't have. Like she can be free of this riddled disease.
She no longer has to suffer.
Exactly. Because my grandmother was very peaceful. Because a lot of people with Alzheimer's and dementia, they have a lot of moments of irritation or sporadic anger because they can't remember.
Right.
She never had that. She also never asked why me. She never asked why me. And, my grandfather was very helpful and, he bought her, he never had a dog in his life, but she had Yorkies all the time, and she had a Yorkie when she had just had my mom named Winky. So he got my grandmother a Yorkie and named the dog Winky so she could remember the name longer. And that dog was kind of her caretaker too, so if somebody was going back there, she'd bark until she was awake and could see who was coming. Like, he did a lot of it, my mom did a lot of it, I did a lot of it, but it was hard, but also it was, it sounds convoluted, but in Judaism, it's not very uncommon to say like it was a blessing being able to be there for her going through that, because being able to help her or be there just to like whenever we went to dinner at my grandfather's place, we wouldn't eat at the kitchen table because she had a nursing bed or she had a hospital bed in her room. We would go take it and we would eat with her
next to her.
Yeah, and we feed her when she wasn't able to feed herself. Back when she was able to walk, we would walk down the street with her, and we would do it 7 times. We'd be so fucking sick of the route we took, but we were happy to do it if it was with her.
Right.
So a lot of the time, when I think about it, because I think about her a lot, because she was easily just one of the biggest influences of my life. I think about how, most of my life that I knew her, she was riddled with this disease. But then other times I think of I got to know her the best because I got to understand what she wanted to do with the last 3 years of her life. And when she went and she died, and I didn't really know how to react because it felt like I'd been mourning for so long and my mom had been mourning for so long that it almost just became like this is a final mourning chunk that we have to take on. And I feel like watching that, because when she got diagnosed I was 6. Up until I was 18, when she died. And so I grew up a lot of my life experiencing that side of my grandmother. But then people like my mom and my aunts and uncles, they have all these amazing stories about, this beautiful Volkswagen bus, or like, I get van she used to have with like a radio that would talk to truckers, and she would go talk to truckers and have the kids talk to truckers and stuff like that. And like she, did all this awesome stuff and throughout her life, and I feel like I've gotten to know her more through that experience, which it's eerie and it's jarring, but it's true. But I feel like going through that, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. I never really would. But I think, given the circumstances, she is being remembered and memorialized in a way that she would most want, which is when she was the most alive and healthy and sound and able, versus being on this planet in an unable body and mind.
Yeah.
Do
you think seeing her passing and dealing with that sort of disease gave you a different perspective on life?
Absolutely. 100%. My grandmother was one of the... I feel like saying she was one of the best people isn't enough. Like...
She deserves higher praise.
She did. She deserves so much better than the part she was dealt. And when her stepson, my uncle from a different mother, was paralyzed, knocked down, my grandmother took care of him, even though that wasn't her child, but she treated him like she was. And she did that for 2.5 years until he was able to fully recover from the burns and the wounds he had. She, ever since I was a baby, she would just she treated me and my brother like little princes and princesses, and my cousins too. And she was just the best, and she was a great mom to my mom and my uncle. And her husband, my mom's dad, and my uncle's dad was like the best guy. He had died before I was born, but he was an incredible soul, from what I hear. And I feel like my outlook of life definitely changed, but surprisingly not in a negative one. I think at first it was, but I think now it's more. So I'm not. I'm obviously upset that was the card she was dealt, but I'm not upset about how her memory lives on.
Yeah, that's awesome. She sounds like a very beautiful soul.
She was.
An amazing woman.
I also remember like when my mom and my uncle, who was then paralyzed, were in high school. They were smoking weed, and she came out here and said, "If you come in my house and you try and eat them lunch, you are not coming in my house. You better come out there and you better go to sleep." And like she was just funny.
Yeah.
Like that's just who she was. But she was awesome. Like she was really the coolest. Like I think that obviously the circumstances were not ideal, but the outcome of it made me appreciate her more, which weirdly was like the best outcome it could have.
Yeah, it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go back to being Jewish too, because you mentioned the 4 pillars. So I want you to explain those 4 again, but also, what do you think are some of the biggest things being Jewish taught you? Like maybe it might not necessarily be the 4 pillars, but
because in all honesty, Judaism doesn't really have pillars. I kind of said those 4 just to summarize a lot of the things I've been taught, but we have, the 10 Commandments. Jews have 613. Could I name half of them? Fuck no.
No.
But I have read a lot of the Torah. From a young age, I chanted the Torah, I studied it. Judaism was my life, it still is. And I feel like the main things I learned were the concepts of family, the concepts of love, the concepts of respect, diligence, and livelihood. And I feel like a lot of people get lost in one of those things because, life takes us by storm. It's just how it is. But I feel like I could not live my life if one of those things were missing. And I think that's what Judaism taught me most.
Okay. That's interesting. There seems to be so much to learn from religion, and I think it's become much less of a day-to-day thing than it was for our parents. Well, and their grandparents especially. Like whenever my dad talks about how religious his parents were, they were both very huge Christians, religion was just as important as their job. And now I think that there's significantly less people that have made religion and have taken the time to make religion a big thing for them.
Right, and I feel like, especially in a modern day and age, we have social media, we have jobs that are a lot more high volume of being very pressing and important. I feel like, especially in Judaism, I'm just as Jewish as I live now than as if I were to go to temple every Friday night, every Saturday morning and night. I think people like to confuse religion as something more complex than it is. And I feel like, same thing goes for, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all of it. If you live the life that you were taught through your religion, things in Christianity, diligence, respect, humility, that kind of thing, as long as you live those that way every day, you're being, I would say that's more downright religious than reading the Bible. I think that, religion in itself is like an all-encompassing matter of confusion, and it can be very, it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And I think it's just a matter of how you go about it that will make you closer with your respective religion. Like for me, if I wanted to go to temple, tomorrow night I could. Do I feel like I need to feel more Jewish? Absolutely not. But do I want to just because I want to? Sure. Yeah. And I feel like Christianity goes the same way. You can, like, Christians believe in Jesus not as their God, but as someone to look up to, right?
Right.
So I feel like if you were, standing on a, precedent that Christianity to you was more how you walked through life with an open eye than a closed one. You're doing what you have to do to respect your God and Jesus and all that. I feel like people just are very intense with religion because generationally they have been, interculturally they have been.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the time religion is just the lessons you've learned and making sure to display them every day.
I think you make a great point there with the intensity side of it, because I've heard so many stories about young kids growing up in this situation where religion is forced upon them, especially in Christianity. And I don't even know if I've ever heard it in any other religion. But they grow up, instead of loving it, they resent it because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have a choice at all.
Right.
They're forced to go to church, forced to, do your nightly prayers. And I think that might be a big difference between at least your side of being Jewish, is that you didn't get forced upon it. And I just, all the stories of people having to suffer through that sort of thing and coming out hating religion, I think I don't know, it seems like it happens a lot.
It does. I feel like for Judaism, I haven't really heard of examples of that. They're probably out there. I mean, there's 7 billion people on this earth. Or maybe 8 billion now. Who knows? But there's so many people on this earth. It's probably happened in a few cases. But at least for me, like obviously when you're 7 or 8 and you go to school every day and you have a weekend to sleep in, you don't want to wake up at 9 a.m. and go to temple. But my parents raised me in a way that I would love it more than feel like I had to be there. So even when I was so young to be told I was going to temple and be pissed because I was so sleepy and wanted to sleep in and tired. Every time I left temple, I was happy I went. There wasn't a single time I went that I was upset I had gone. And I feel like also the aspects of the Judaism I learned and came to love were the people who, supported me and my family when we needed it in the Jewish community, as big or as little as anything you can imagine. From as extreme as a death to as little as I have a job interview this week, wish me luck. That kind of thing. I feel like I learned to love it more than forced to live it. And my parents were very adamant about that because I remember my mom from a very young age telling me that I don't have to do this, but she wants me to, be open-minded to the chance of loving it. And I'm glad I did that. And I know right now, like, the guy I'm dating, he's Christian. He loves being Christian. He's a very devout Christian. And does he go to church every Sunday? No. But, does he pray often? Yeah, like he prays. But, I am not getting ahead of myself because obviously we're young. But I already know that, if, like, that hasn't stopped me from being any less Jewish. And if one day I'm lucky enough to have kids of my own, I'll present, like, they will be born Jewish because the Jewish woman in Judaism, if they give birth, the kids are Jewish. Do they have to practice Judaism? No. Can they be Christian?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if I have kids, I want to introduce them to Judaism. If they love it, I'd be happy to hold their hand through it. But if they don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to sit here and tell someone how to live. Nobody should do that for you or for me or for anyone. It's not ever going to work. So why even try? And I feel like that ideology of you have to be a Christian, you have to be Jewish, you have to be X, Y, or Z, it's so outdated. And I feel like we as a people are coming, forward and admitting that more. And I feel like that's like very cool to see.
Yeah. I think it's inspiring to hear a positive story about religion. Because, I just feel like I haven't heard many of them.
Yeah, like they're very fun.
And growing up for me was never religious at all. And, we'd only go to church on Easter, Christmas, occasional holidays. But to hear a story that's you always had a positive reaction to religion, and it's been such a big part of your life.
I love it. Like, I really wouldn't have had it any other way. More so because I'm just happy with the cards I've been dealt. Obviously, had I been born Christian and given the same treatment of you don't have to love it, but we'd like to introduce you to it and see if you do, I probably would feel the same way about any religion or any lifestyle that have been presented. It's just almost everywhere. So obviously the not so great ones, self-inflicting, but but I feel like the cards I've been dealt were pretty damn special.
Yeah, that's so cool. I wanted to go back to your dad because I thought even from your little just talking about him for a couple seconds, he has so much cool stuff that he's experienced in his life. So I wanted to ask you, what if any stories kind of stick with you from what he's told you? Like, has he told you something crazy about meeting these famous people and interacting with them? And
he has actually. I'll go back to the Ozzie story because I'm a big Ozzie Osbourne fan. I love his music. I think
I wonder where you got that from.
Literally, I think Iron Man is like one of my favorite songs ever. It's just it just gets you in that feel. But same Orchid, A Master of Reality. That's my favorite song of all time. So he's just anyway. My dad one time when he was working as a backstage chef in Birmingham, that's where he met all these artists. Ozzie Osbourne's team had called him and said, "Hey, we need 3 liters of pig's blood." Because it was back when Ozzie would spray pig's blood on audience.
I don't know, but that's
really
crazy.
Okay. So Ozzie Osbourne, the bat when he would eat
the
bat's head. I
don't know nothing. You gotta explain it all.
So Ozzie Osbourne used to do this thing when he performed where he'd bite off the bat's head. It was fake, but it would spew pig's blood on the first few rows of the crowd.
Okay.
And my dad was the one who answered him with pig's blood. You want me to get you 3 liters of pig's blood? He said, "Yeah, is that going to be a problem?" And he just went, "Have you ever thought about fake blood? Because we can get that for you." And Ozzie's tour manager went, "Yeah, let me get 6 liters of fake pig's blood." So when he got there, I'm pretty sure how the story went is my dad told Ozzie it was real. And Ozzie was just like, "Oh, okay, man. Cool."
Okay.
And it just happened to be fake. And after the show, Ozzie's tour manager told Ozzie, "Hey, that wasn't real pig's blood." And Ozzie went up to my dad and said, "That's kind of rock and roll." And my dad was like, "That was the coolest thing ever." I got told by Ozzie I was rock and roll.
That is the coolest thing ever.
But I think my favorite story from him is the Valerie Bertinelli story. I think it's so damn funny because there's some details that I left out, but when he was telling me this when I was like rightly 16 and didn't know any of this backstory, like didn't know my dad was that cool, because no kid knows their parents are that cool until they tell them.
Definitely.
I had asked him, "Well, what was it like talking to Eddie Van Halen?" And because Ice Cream Man, another great song by Van Halen. But my dad, he basically said that when Valerie Bertinelli came up to kiss him, he and Eddie Van Halen were having some argument. God knows how what. They were fighting all the time. And they were fighting a lot that night. And she goes up to my dad and grabs his face and kisses him. He's like, "This is disgusting." Also, Eddie Van Halen's right there. "I love this guy. He's gonna hate me. God damn it." And he goes, he's just like, "I hope Eddie didn't see that. I hope Eddie didn't see that." And Eddie comes up and goes, "Fuck, he saw it." And I was thinking that at least. And then Eddie came up to him. "I'm so sorry that happened. Like, are you doing okay?" And my dad just kind of looked at Eddie and went, "Yeah, I'm okay, but no offense, she tastes like burnt cigarettes and awful coffee, bro. Like, what?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. We're in a little bit of an argument, but listen, here's 2 tickets. Come tomorrow. See if you can get off work. Bring whoever you want." So, that was pretty cool to me. I still don't know who he brought to that show or even if he went. But the fact that, my dad just casually has that, in his lifetime is crazy to me. Because if you, have you seen my dad? Okay, well, if you ever met him, off the bat, you would never think in your entire life that this is the same guy who met all these people. And I just think it's crazy.
Has he ever talked to you, has he told you kind of a list of people he's ever met?
Yeah, to an extent. he didn't tell me to, like, and he never told me to what extent he had met these people, except for the really outlandish stories like Van Halen and Ozzy. But I believe the list was Billy Joel. Like, one of my uncles knows Billy Joel very well, apparently, because Billy Joel loves to go to Tel Aviv, and my mom's like best friend's husband or ex-husband, I guess now, he like would always run into Billy Joel in Tel Aviv, and they would like hang out, or they knew each other by name at least. But my dad, he met Billy Joel, Rush, Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Ozzie Osbourne on his own in his own band. I want to say no, not Guns N' Roses. That would be way too cool. That would be too fucking awesome. I want to say AC/DC. Oh, there's another one. I can't think of it. But that's just like a handful. Okay. But I don't know. He told me that, and then right after that, he was like, your grandfather's had drinks in Nat King Cole. I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And he said, just call him. Because when he had told my grandfather all this, he said, yeah, Nat King Cole now. Yeah. So I called him, and my grandfather told me that in New Orleans in the 40s, maybe 60s, sometime in that, he was driving and he looked to his right and there's Nat King Cole. And he was like, Natty, how are you? Because my grandfather, he had a radio show, and he's very what's the word? He's just very
bubbly.
Yeah, he's very bubbly. He loves to talk to people.
Yeah.
And Nat King Cole was like, hey, what's your name? And my grandfather introduces himself. He goes, I'm about to go to the bar to get a drink. You want to come with me, Natty? Nat King Cole goes, yeah, sure. So they go and get a drink. Have you seen To Kill a Mockingbird?
I've read the book.
Okay, so the man who plays Atticus Finch in the movie, he was friends with my grandfather, apparently. And he had been in the house I grew up going to all the time.
So you got connections, huh?
Apparently. But I didn't know that, like, they had all these really cool connections, so I don't know. I grew up around some pretty rock and roll.
Yeah, I guess so. Did your dad ever say, first, I guess, who's his favorite artist?
He loves Bruce Springsteen. My mom does too. Okay. But my dad also loves
That's Alabama talking for sure.
My dad also loves AC/DC. We're big AC/DC fans.
And then out of the people that he had the chance to meet, did he tell you his favorite or one that just was maybe an asshole that didn't treat anyone well?
That's a good question. He never told me an asshole. Because they were all really nice, which I feel like is rare, especially now, because a lot of celebrities can, get this to their head, but I feel like all these guys were just, all they were trying to do was play some rock and roll.
Right.
So they were all really nice to him. I think he said the nicest people were Eddie Van Halen. He said Ozzy was chill, didn't do anything crazy. And then, he said Billy Joel was like the coolest guy.
Yeah.
Like, I think he asked my dad's friend for a light and gave it to him, and his friend, like my dad's job is going to walk away from the lighter. Like, I don't have any money to get a new one because their paycheck was going to drop the next morning, and Billy Joel came back and gave him 3.
That's so awesome.
Right?
That's so cool.
I think it's awesome. Like, I know Black Sabbath gave my dad some album. I think it was Master of Reality, but if not, got some other go-bass album. The other band was Journey. He said Journey was pretty cool.
I think it's important to realize that all these people that are famous now, that are put on such a high pedestal, that they're just normal people too.
They are.
And they don't really, I don't want to speak for them, but they don't really like when you fan out. They want you to be a normal person that just appreciates them for their work. Like just having just an organic conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's what they yearn for, because they don't get it as much now that they're famous. But to just interact with a normal person is like,
Like, Brian Johnson, AC/DC, I forgot to say, I had to look it up. But Brian Johnson, he and AC/DC were always on the road, and, I was talking to, I want to say my boyfriend and his dad, and, my boyfriend had made a joke about, they probably have so many groupies. And, my boyfriend's dad went to Woodstock, 1984, I want to say. when Metallica was there, he had said that Brian Johnson had a wife the entire time he was in AC/DC. He was loyal to her because why not be? You're not different from other people just because you got a rock and roll status or a bunch of groupies following you.
Right.
You're just a guy who's being appreciated for his love of rock and roll.
Yep. But their level of temptation
it may be high, but
goes beyond anyone that any of us can ever comprehend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Brian Johnson of AC/DC who said kind of something similar, like the temptation may be high, but the temptation of going to home to my wife is higher.
Yeah.
And I just think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think these, big name celebrities, obviously everybody has their phase. I love this attention. I love all this, opportunity. Especially the groupies, back in the day. Obviously, our favorite rock stars were going at it, doing whatever the fuck they wanted. Cool.
Yeah, they were living like rock stars.
They were living like rock stars. And I feel like a lot of them now you can tell when they figured it out. That just because it was there didn't mean they had to take it.
Right.
But it is kind of cool.
Well, and at the end of the day, the support that you get from going home to a wife that's loyal to you
and loves your music.
That there's nothing bigger than that.
Right. So. Like, I think it's fun. Like, I think it's really cool to hear all these stories. I'm hoping for my 22nd, my dad tells me a few more stories about his rock and roll days.
Yeah.
Or chefing up for the rock and roll days.
Yeah. So what if you had the chance to meet, like, let's just say your top three celebrity people, who would they be?
That's hard. Who would they be for you? Let me hear your answers.
It's a tough question. I think we both have to take a second to think. But since we're on music, at least, I go straight to. See, my first thought is Pharrell.
Ooh, that's a good one. He's fired.
Because I think he's brilliant. So I think Pharrell or Kanye would battle for one of my spots.
I do not want to meet Kanye.
I want to meet. I still, after all the shit that he's done recently, I still think he's brilliant, and I still think I can.
Lyrically,
I still think I can learn a lot.
Do you think he's brilliant lyrically?
I think he's brilliant in a lot of ways.
Oh my.
Many ways. I think he's a creative genius. Now, do I think he's got a couple screws loose? Definitely.
I mean, look at his Twitter. Do you see his Super Bowl ad?
I don't see anything. I don't keep up with much.
His Super Bowl ad, it was only in LA. It broadcasted him at a QR code. It was like, go buy my merch, and you scan the QR code, and it was a shirt with a swastika on it.
Yeah, I could never support that.
Yeah.
But Lord knows he's a creative genius.
Let me ask you this: Kanye, pre-graduation or post-graduation?
In terms of music?
Like, in terms of when you would want to meet him?
I still think I'd want to meet him now, just because he's had that extra 10 years of experience. I think he went off the rails after COVID, like 2020 on, or really maybe like 2018 on.
Yeah, like when his mom died.
Well, she passed away before she.
When she
passed
died?
in 2012.
Someone told me it was 2016.
It was before.
Maybe that's just when Donda came out.
Yeah, well, Donda was 2020, but I think she passed before. Whatever that album with the heart was.
Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, something like that. But I think meeting him sometime around 2018 may be the best time to meet him, when he really, wasn't fully off the rails. But I think even now I would take a chance.
Who else?
See, how I base my criteria off this is who would I think would have a genuine conversation with me. Like who's a real, not just because they're that name, because they have this status, but because they have something to give me, like knowledge to give me.
Gotcha.
And I think just because I'm so much into music, if I had to just pick three right now, it'd be in no particular order. Pharrell, Kanye, Jay-Z. Because I think Jay-Z is unbelievably brilliant, and he doesn't get enough credit for how smart he is. And I would love to just sit down with him and just talk about business.
Yeah. I think. See, I want to say Tyler the Creator, but I can't honestly say that just because, like, I've seen how he talks about people who are very parasocial, and I don't think I'd want to meet him. Like, I think I'm okay with him just, doing his thing. Like, to me, he's not, like, someone I fangirl over more than someone I appreciate, just because of his outlook. But I think if I were to meet anyone, I'd want to meet Randy Rhoads. He was the guitarist for the Ozzie Osbourne band. He died in a plane crash, but he was. You need to, if you ever have the time, look up Mr. Crowley live in 1982. Look at his guitar solo. That's the reason.
Brilliant.
He is one of the best guitar players I think I've ever heard in my life. And I think after, like, my friends, when I went home in the beginning of this time, they showed me it because I'd listened to it, but I'd never really seen it live. So I love that song, but seeing that live, it solidified that for me. So I think, him. It's gonna sound cheesy because I feel like I listen to a lot of random music, but like I've been a Fall Out Boy fan since I was 13 years old. I think I would kill to meet the members of Fall Out Boy, just because I feel like they're like I think the lead singer Patrick Stump is unreal. I think it's crazy. And I think they're just like Pete Wentz is like the coolest dude. Like I think he's the coolest celebrity who exists, and he's a great bass player. So maybe them or like I'm gonna give you four because I have two more on the top of my head. Is like Ariana Grande. Like, I love her. Like I think she's so great. And then like SZA.
Okay.
I think or Rihanna maybe even. I think Rihanna's great.
Rihanna I'd put at the top of my list for a female.
That's Aphrodite in real life to me.
She is so her voice is so
she's
sexy.
Unreal. She's unreal. She's really just like everything.
Yeah.
Like she is. Ooh, actually, I'm gonna switch Fall Out Boy out for Ella Fitzgerald. If I could meet Ella Fitzgerald, I would be happy.
Who's that?
Have you ever heard Starsville in Alabama? It's with Louis Armstrong. Okay, you need to get on that. That is a great jazz song. She's a jazz singer. And she was like, I believe like one of the first big black jazz singers. And her voice is so true. Like maybe even Lana Del Rey. I think it goes Randy Rhoads.
Wait, now you're on like 6 or 7.
No. I'm gonna give you my final three. It's Randy Rhoads, Ella Fitzgerald, Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
Those
interesting. Yeah. It's interesting that it seems like such a simple question, but then if you get your choice, man, there's so many people that I would like to talk to, and just.
I'm asking you this, like, if
I would love to pick their brain.
If you could have dinner with like 2 people that are alive, what would they be?
It takes the same amount, if not more, thought. Because then you have to think about people that have made a serious difference in the world, I think. And
I think for me it would be Marilyn Monroe and Zelda Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife. I think those are the two that I'd really love to meet.
God, I wish I could answer that. Maybe I'll probably text you a couple days later and tell you like this is my real list.
Ooh, or Tupac. I'd love to sit down with Tupac. I feel like that would be the coolest.
Yeah.
Or like Kurt Cobain or something like that.
Yep. 2 guys that are very brilliant in their own right, for sure. I'm trying to even give you one, but there's too many. There's too many people and too many avenues. It's very interesting.
It is. It's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no right answer to wrong answer.
Because like I was kind of saying earlier, that I think it's got to come down to who's going to give me knowledge. Who's going to really. Who can I learn from?
Ooh.
That's really gonna set me up to. I don't maybe not set me up.
You know what? Now that you say that, I'm changing my answer because I have them. I want Marilyn Monroe still, and I want Steve Irwin.
Mm.
I feel like Steve Irwin is so full of knowledge, and I wish he had lived longer to tell it. But if I could sit down and meet with him and talk to him, I would want to know what he has to say. Same with Marilyn Monroe. Like I feel like she had her IQ was so high.
Yeah, unbelievable career too.
Exactly, and I wanna listen to her about her stance on a lot of things. I think she would be very insightful.
Yeah. I also really want to talk to Elon Musk.
Man, Kanye and Elon.
I know. I've been watching. I think yesterday I watched 5 or 6 Elon interviews, and he is brilliant. I mean, he's unbelievably smart, and people, again, I think there's a lot of great people that give him credit, but not enough people give him credit for what he thinks way ahead of the rest of us, in my opinion.
Like technologically, or
so even in his first interview in the 90s, he talked about that the things he wanted to strive for was all about the next big evolution in humankind. Like he didn't care about all these little things. He's like, I want to live on Mars. Like I want the next human progression. I want to take all these things and advance them. And I can't even do it justice to what he said, but
can I ask you a semi-political question?
Sure.
How did you feel about Elon being in, like, I guess Congress with Trump? How did you feel? Because he was technically in there. I don't know as what, but was he in the cabinet? I don't think so.
No, he was part of the Doge.
Thank you.
Government efficiency. I don't know if it was a program or how they kind of set it up, but I think he's a brilliant guy, and I think business is about having a group of brilliant people that are all focused on one task. That's how you create a successful business. So I think whenever you bring someone like him into any sort of cabinet or group like that, I think there's nothing else but positive.
Interesting. I was not expecting that answer, to be honest.
So yeah, it's all about people is the most important, and it's hard to find people that are as brilliant as he is. So it's just it goes there. But so going back to you, now that you're 21, do you look back on your life and do you have any regrets that you didn't do? Like, is there something you look back on you wish you did?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like since more so even when I turned 20 was really when I started learning about like who I was. Because I think when you're young, you're just trying to figure it out. And I feel like there is no figuring out forever. It's just figuring out for right now. And that sounds pessimistic, but I think it's really just realistic. But I think that before I was 20, I was too focused on the outside of what I can control. And I think now it's all about what I can control. It makes it a lot less stressful. And I think my biggest regret in terms of that is just, I wish I had stepped outside my comfort zone more. Because you can always step back in it. But I think I didn't do enough of that. And, when it came to college and started doing that more, I didn't know how to navigate. And whether I, crashed and got up and didn't burn as much or crashed and burned, that's just how life goes. But I really wish I had stepped outside my comfort zone more and really just learned what that would be like. Because now I'm very good at it. I'd like to say I'm pretty good at it, and if I'm not great at it, I'm getting there. And Like, I just feel like that, if anything, like, would have been the main thing. How about you?
Man, don't give it back to me. I'm not
I am. That's
prepared.
a good question. Because I've known you since our freshman year 3 years ago. So I've seen a lot of different Nate Snaggers. Not a lot of different Nate Snaggers, but I've seen the start of your college career to now.
Yeah. Do I regret? I might have a different answer if I think about it more.
Yeah.
But I just wish I treated people better. Because there was a point when I was younger that I just didn't treat people that nicely, and I looked down on a lot of people for no really good reason. And I just think I was just unfair to people. And that's definitely a part of my life that it happened, but I wish I respected people more and looked at it like I have a lot to learn from them instead of all these things that I thought was wrong.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
It's quite interesting to think about for sure.
It is. I also think I want to add on my answer a little bit because that just kind of like inspired me to say what like another thing I was thinking was like I wish I'd stood up for myself more. Like I feel like there were so many times where I could have just instead of like obviously live and let die is a perfectly fine thing, but I do really wish that in some points where I knew that I could have treated myself better, I did.
Okay. So, kind of going off that, what's your perspective? Actually, I'll ask that. What is going forward for the rest of your life? What does success look like to you?
Honestly, very upfront. I think success is the consistency of making a goal and reaching it just to make another one. I think when you can do that at a consistent level, you're set. And that goal could be anything.
Yeah.
But I think as long as that's something to be put for yourself or made for yourself and accomplished, and even if you're not satisfied with the outcome of it, that's why you make another. Like I think the day that I'm not able to reach a goal to make another one is the day I will not be successful.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with trial and error. That you learn through trial. And even if you end up on the other side unsuccessful, you've gone through the whole time of learning whatever you're
right. And a lot of people, when you ask them that, they'll say things like, I want a big house, I want a good family.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Then what? And I feel like the question, then what? Or now what? Or what now? I feel like it's just, I think that is the biggest thing that people should consistently ask themselves. I've reached my goal. Last year I wanted to be on Dean's List. I'm on Dean's List. What now? Do I go 2 in a row? Or last year I lived with a great roommate. Now what? Or I didn't know, I found out I didn't want to do what I'm going to school for. Now what? I think if you're constantly asking yourself that, there's no way you can't be successful.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you think, or if you got to choose, would you change your major freshman year?
I came to school with the same major, the same minor, and the only thing I've changed is adding another minor. And I'm very, very, very happy with what I chose. I think it's broad, but it's tailored to what I'm good at. And I really don't think there's another major, at least in our school or any of the other schools that I had been previously accepted into, that I would excel at as much as the one I'm in now. And at least understand and really find as interesting.
What do you think you're good at?
I think I'm good at communicating. I think I'm good at being personable. And I think those two things have driven me to where I am now. Like, I think when you and I first met, it was like, you were kind of, like, you're a pretty chill dude. Like, you're pretty quiet. And I think I came up to you and was just like, what are you about? Like, who are you? And you told me. And I was like, all right, cool. And every time I saw you after that, it was like, we would talk. And we were friends. And we're still friends. I think it's, I think if you have communication down and you have interpersonality down and, you know, diligence, respect, I think those are the things I'm very good at. And I think if I didn't have any of those attributes, I wouldn't be who I am.
What do you think are some of your weaknesses?
Ooh. I think I'm still learning how to adjust to change. But that's a very normal thing. And I'm very content with that. And I think another thing that I'm struggling with is my boyfriend tells me this all the time, that I say sorry too much. And I think that's another big one. I think I say sorry way too much. Because, you know, sometimes it's, are you really supposed to say sorry for the things you do? It could be as little as, oh, sorry, I was on a phone call. Why are you saying sorry? You're on a phone call.
Right.
Whereas saying, I'm sorry this happened, it won't happen again. I think that's something. Because I feel like I say sorry for things that are really minuscule and don't really matter.
Yeah.
Whereas those sorries could maybe be put into things that carry weight and have a lot more meaning.
God, I hope my brother listens to this part of this.
What's your brother's name again?
Jake.
Jake, I thought so. Hi, Jake.
He needs to hear that. And you know, we've all told him, so this ain't new. Like, I'm not airing out his business.
Jake, trust me, it's a lot more alleviating. Hope we meet soon, gang. But that's my 2 cents. How about you? Strengths, weaknesses, go. Putting you on the spot.
I think I'll start with weaknesses. I think sometimes I can be overconfident. And
what do you define as overconfident?
Well, I'm very confident to start.
That's a good thing.
But sometimes I think I become so confident that I believe that I can just achieve something without doing the proper studying and the proper time that actually should go into being successful into that. So in that respect, it becomes delusional. Like I become so confident that I'm actually very wrong. So that's definitely one of them. And then I have a problem with teamwork too. I've always had a problem with working in groups, and I always think I can do it better myself. So I think teamwork's always been one of my big weaknesses.
There's some good ones.
In terms of strengths, my confidence, I think, is probably number one. It's just such a fine line, I think, there. And I think I find it very easy to relate to people, and I'm very interested in everyone's view on things, and I think that's one of my greatest strengths, is that I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say. I'm not just asking because I can't ask. I'm asking because I actually give a shit.
That's a very good one.
Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think this is going to be very opinionated, so get ready for this? Because I was talking about this with someone last night. Do you think the best people are the flawed people, or do you think the best people are the most put together? Not like put together, like emotionally, but the most. By flawed, I mean the most. You may have a hobby that is common. You may have an interest that is common versus someone who's very into not so niche categories.
Yeah, I don't think I believe in put together. And I also don't think I believe in flawed either. I think that everyone's experiences and how they grew up shapes them into what they like and what they are passionate about. So saying that somebody's passion is a flaw, I mean, it's like degrading. That's like the most powerful form of bullying, is saying what you think is not, it's a flaw. And I don't think anyone's put together, because life doesn't let you be put together. Well, so I think that being put together is I think it's about handling what's important in your life. Like it shouldn't be looking perfect. It should be being who you are.
Agreed. 100%. What's else?
It's a good question. I should add a bunch of ones that I was going to ask you about in the 20 questions thing.
Oh.
But now this is just evolved in your podcast. You know what I mean?
Try it out.
Yeah, man. I already got through some of this. Who or what motivates you?
I think my goals that I have for myself are what motivate me the most. I think that I am very sound in my terms of goals. Like, I honestly don't think I've ever put a goal in front of me that I couldn't reach. I think I've always had stepping stone kind of goals because I want to make sure that I can get there. So I think that definitely motivates me a lot. And I think that it hasn't done me wrong yet.
Okay.
I say yet very loosely because maybe one day it will, but for now I'm not let down at all.
Yeah, it sounds like a good strategy. What's one thing you think everyone could agree on?
Man, that's hard.
Or does it even exist?
That's a really good question. I think something that people could agree on is that
That's why I say maybe there isn't such a thing.
I'm gonna go with that. I don't think there is such a thing. I think that there's variety for a reason, and that variety is surpassed any level of setback.
Interesting. The greatest thing is so what's the legacy you want to leave?
I think the legacy I want to leave is that I was put onto this earth to add something to the people around me and the people who are around me positively. That to not be them. I want to make a difference, and I think my legacy will be that I've made one.
How do you want people to remember you?
As someone they could rely on and depend on. As someone that they could turn to if they had no one else to. I think that to me means everything.
Respect. That's real. And then I guess to end off, if you had one message you wanted to tell the world, what would it be?
If I had one message to tell the world.
To everyone that's ever going to listen to this.
If you're listening, every issue that is approaching you right now, it's not as serious as you think it is. there is a way out of it. There is a way through it. And if you're telling yourself there isn't one, I hate to say it, but I don't think you're being truthful. And I think that no matter what bump in the road you reach, there's always going to be a light at the end.